Play It Again, Jesse is the 15th episode of the 5th season of Full House. This is directed by Joel Zwick and Tom Rickard, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And there are two main parts to the narrative, one focusing on Becky's return to work and Jesse staying at home, and one focusing on Stephanie. I think they both address some interesting topics. The one with Jesse is certainly quite fascinating. The one with Stephanie basically says don't borrow other people's clothes. And I'll talk a little bit about that one first. But I really thoroughly enjoyed it because DJ says Stephanie is not allowed to borrow her clothing. And Stephanie's kind of already wearing DJ's sweater, and she wears it to the store where they have like samples of fries, and she puts some mustard on them and gets mustard on the sweater. So she decides to wash it as soon as she gets home. Sensible decision. She kind of shrank it in the wash. And when DJ finds out, we find out that it was actually Kimmy's that DJ borrowed forever ago. And Kimmy decides to issue a punishment by saying she needs a pedicure and takes off her sock, and everybody runs. So I quite liked it. I thought it was a fun part of the narrative. And we have a good lesson there about not borrowing people's things when they say no, even if it's technically not that person's item in the first place. The other part, of course, focuses on Jesse and the fact that he is now staying at home while Becky goes to work, and he's not feeling great about this. It's not so much the fact that he doesn't want to do the housework and look after the children. He seems quite happy to look after the children, which is really sweet. But there are several things that don't make him feel great. His song is rejected at the start of the episode, so he doesn't feel like his career is going very well. He gets called Mr. Donaldson at the supermarket, and this is because somebody there saw him on television that morning when he took the babies to see Becky at work, and they obviously just assumed that he was married to Becky, yes, but with her surname. So he's not feeling great about this. And then he says a word that I think really shapes the episode. Becky comes home and she wants to spend time with him after being at work. Makes sense. But Jesse realizes that now Becky's home, he can then go out, try and get a gig, try and make money with his music and help provide for the family. And Becky points out that she provides enough, which is great. But Becky's overlooking the fact that just as her career is important to her, Jesse's is important to him. And he talks about, very briefly, mentions pride and the fact that staying at home, looking after the kids, being called Mr. Donaldson, not being able to help provide for the family, makes him feel like he's not as proud as he'd like to be, which I think is a valid point. But I also hope that nobody watching it who is a stay-at-home parent doesn't feel like they should not feel proud of what they're doing, because it's very different for everybody. Everybody has different expectations and different desires for what they want out of life. And with Jesse, it wasn't making him happy, but he realizes that actually there's more to it than that. And I think ultimately, they took a good direction while showing a lot of different emotions from Jesse. And I think it's very much a valid response to that situation, not just for men. I want to make that very clear. At least I don't think that it's fair for Jesse to feel that way, but not for females. I think women can feel that way as well. I think maybe they could have done a little bit more to address that, as it does seem ever so slightly like they were leaning into the whole Jesse's a man, the man's supposed to provide kind of thing. But I guess the fact that Rebecca was out at work shows that the show doesn't have that kind of thinking, which is obviously a good thing. So in general, I think they handled it quite well. I think they addressed a lot of important points and helped to show a lot of different emotions that Jesse was feeling. So I did enjoy that part of it. But for me, definitely DJ's sweater was definitely my favourite part of the episode. It's a really, really strong episode. Oh, and Vicky has obviously gone home, or gone to Chicago rather, for her dream job. So that's good for Vicky. I'm not a huge fan of Vicky in general. I don't dislike the character. I just never really connected with her. I guess we didn't really get that much time with her, but I'm not particularly bothered either. In all, Play It Again, Jesse is a really solid episode of Full House, and definitely an episode that I enjoyed.